Long before the first jack-o'-lantern was ever carved, a different kind of fire burned brightly against the autumn darkness. Over 2,000 years ago, Ireland, the United Kingdom, northern France, the ancient Celts celebrated a festival called Samhain. This was the most significant event in their calendar. Samhain marked the end of the harvest season and the close of the lighter half of the year, a time of transition, a final burst of life before winter. The Celts, rooted in the land, treated this as their new year, poised between what was and what was to come. On the night of Samhain, October 31st, the boundary between living and dead thinned. Spirits, benevolent ancestors and mischievous entities. By the year 43 AD, the vast Roman Empire had extended its reach, conquering most of the Celtic territory. As is often the case when cultures meet, especially under conquest, traditions began to merge. Over 400 years of Roman rule, 2 Roman autumn festivals started to blend with Samhain. The Romans, practical and syncretic, allowed Samhain to coexist and intertwine with their customs, creating a hybrid celebration. The first festival was Feralia, a late October day to commemorate the dead. Offerings of grain, salt, and wine-soaked bread. Tombs were adorned, and meals shared in honor of the dead. The second festival honored Pomona, goddess of fruit and trees. Her symbol, the apple, aligned with Samain's harvest identity. Games like bobbing for apples may trace back to these rites. The blending was slow and organic over generations. Over time, the lines blurred into a richer autumn festival. As the Roman Empire waned, Christianity spread across Europe. Missionaries learned it was easier to adapt than to eradicate local traditions. The Church co-opted pagan holidays, overlaying Christian meanings. In the 7th century, Pope Boniface IV designated May 13th as All Saints' Day, All Hallows' Day. A century later, Pope Gregory III moved it to November 1st, likely to Christianize Samhain. The eve before became All Hallows' Eve, Halloween, blending church and folk practice. Old spirits and fairies were reframed as demons and devils from which the faithful needed protection. Bonfires now warded off evil. Disguises mocked it, or honored saints. The night stayed full of mystery, magic, and a doorway to the otherworldly. Absorbed into Christianity, Samhain's supernatural core endured. The spirit of Samhain survived, under a new name, and the eve kept its power. The name Halloween is a direct descendant of its Christianized identity. It's a contraction of All Hallows' Eve, All Hallows Even. Hallow means saint, rooted in Old English hallig. All Hallows' Day on November 1st honored all saints. The night before was the eve of that holy day. Over time, everyday speech compressed it into Halloween. Alongside it, All Souls' Day on November 2nd honored ordinary dead. Together they formed Hallowtide, Eve, Saints, and Souls. It offered a Christian way to engage the spiritual realm. In souling, the poor, often children, prayed door to door for the dead and received soul cakes. Bells rang to comfort souls. Criers called for remembrance. Samhain's ideas weren't erased, just transformed beneath Christian clothes. Halloween, as a widely celebrated holiday, arrived late in the United States. New England Puritans rejected festivals with Catholic and pagan roots. It remained marginal in early America. The mid-19th century changed everything with Irish immigration. Over 1 million arrived carrying rich traditions. They shared costumes, mischief, and tales of spirits and jack-o'-lanterns. First in enclaves, then the wider melting pot. Media promoted parties and customs coast to coast. America embraced a fun, communal, slightly spooky celebration. The holiday moved from private homes into public squares, toward the modern phenomenon. Trick-or-treating's path began with pranks, not treats. Mischief night ranged from soaping windows to tipping outhouses, and worse. In the Great Depression, vandalism escalated. Communities sought safer outlets, parades, contests, supervised fun. The solution: bribe. Potential pranksters with treats: trick or treat. The phrase appeared in print in the 1930s. After wartime sugar rationing, the post-war boom launched the tradition. Suburbs were perfect, close houses, safe streets. Candy companies popularized small, individually wrapped treats. By the 50s, trick-or-treating became the child-focused heart of Halloween, far from Celtic rites and medieval souling, yet linked by knocking on doors. Costumes began as supernatural camouflage on Samhain. People disguised themselves so spirits would pass them by. Later, medieval souling and Scottish-Irish guising added performances for treats. The jack-o'-lantern comes from Stingy Jack, cursed to wander with a coal in a turnip. Families carved grim faces and lit them to ward off spirits. In America, the larger, softer pumpkin replaced the turnip, becoming Halloween's face. Early costumes were simple and eerie: ghosts, ghouls, skeletons. The lantern and the mask, twin icons of the night, light against darkness, then and now. The 20th century polished a rambunctious folk night into a commercial holiday. By the 50s, Halloween was largely child-centered and neighborly. Television cemented the wholesome image. Later decades saw adults reclaim the night with parades and parties. A vast industry rose. Pro-costumes, makeup, fog, animatronics, haunted houses, theme park nights. Halloween became the second largest U.S. commercial holiday after Christmas. Mass production standardized imagery and costumes. Traditions were increasingly bought rather than made, yet visibility soared. Today, Halloween is global, a tapestry of ancient belief, religion, folk tradition, and modern commerce. For children, it's a magical night of becoming and gathering sweets. For adults, it's creativity, satire, spectacle, and community. We safely face fear, death, and the unknown. Echoes of Samhain's fires, a living tradition, adapting through conquest, conversion, migration, dancing with darkness before November's light returns.